also known as Vamp Mario, and we are back with another painting video. It is Tuesday, and it is that time when we are going to delve into some Games Workshop model and painting review, and we're going to switch gears. We're going to go back to some AOS and potentially Cursed City models tonight. I said we were going to go delve into the fantasy side of things a little bit more because we've been doing a lot of 40k content. We did some Tyranid painting and some orc reviews, and we did some 40k reviews of models. So I wanted to kind of kick it off by giving my AOS fans and fantasy fans a little bit of an interject. I'm going to give everyone a moment to come in. I'm actually a little bit more on the early boat this week. Instead of starting at 10, I actually started a little bit earlier. I'm kind of testing the waters to see some time differences, and if you guys feel that you in fact like this time difference. But we're going to see. I know that most people show up for the scheduled content at 10, so I might have made it harder for you guys to come and join, but we'll see. As always, because I literally have flat out nobody watching, which is usually not the case. So wow, all right, so there are folks that do come for the weekly show and do think it's happening at 10 o'clock. So no word to myself, definitely gonna start the show at 10. But yeah, so we're taking a look at some new AOS models, specifically Nighthaunt, because Nighthaunt in the AOS realm just got some new content and got a new book. So they had some new models, and we're going to take a look and kind of review that model. And then I'm going to say that we're probably going to, I think we're going to start off by doing some painting on him tonight versus doing the Cursed City stuff. So we'll bounce back to the Cursed City stuff if we get through the paint, because actually lately, in a shocking turn of events, I have started to actually get through a lot of the painting on my models very quickly. So it's very interesting. We'll see what happens. But again, we're going to take a look. I'm going to start talking a little bit. I always like to throw out my sponsor for this video, which is Undiscovered Realms. There's a link to them below. You can always check them out. They have all of the latest GW releases, model kits, painting, supplies, everything you need for your hobbying stuff, even collectible card games, Funko Pops, all kinds of cool stuff. So check them out. Give them some love. Give them some support. And if you're new to the channel, don't hesitate to call out, say hi. How's everybody doing tonight? I want to hear from that audience. Don't hide. I know there's a temptation. There's a temptation to hide, but don't hide. You're welcome. You're welcome in this world. So let's we'll sort of table our Cursed City model, and we're going to take a look at our model that we're reviewing tonight, which is in fact, and I will look at the name because I almost Awlrach the Drowned. Very cool model. So obviously a spirit that, as it implies, was drowned. So a ghostly apparition. Sort of looks almost like the ferryman model. And bear with me, but I did not actually download the I should have my iPad with me, the codex, so that I could actually read the abilities of this character. I have the stats, but they don't show. They're not doing full abilities anymore. So what they're doing when you buy stuff is they'll give you the base stats for it, but they're not giving you like their power. So they usually give you usually in the box they would give you a war scroll. So at least if you bought the unit, you could play with it. But now they just give you the baseline, and then you wouldn't have any abilities. So you'd actually have to have the codex to know his full abilities or full, full stuff. But let's we'll do the model first, and we'll talk a little bit about the stats, which the stats are pretty good. If I do say so myself. But I don't know what his special abilities are. But yeah, so let's take a look and spin the model around. I mean, it's an amazing model. It's crazy. You know, like many Nighthaunt models, there's just a lot going on. You have all the spectral undead. You have the actual boat. And then very much like Lady Orlinder, which is another one of the special characters for Nighthaunt. You have that very nice detail of the vine and the roses. So just this very deathly, very, you know, haunting, ghostly figure. I love the ship. I love that the spirits are trying to get into the ship, or the ferry, which is why he's like kind of the ferryman. Sort of their version of it. Assembly of this model was a little tricky. In general, the undead models are very, very tricky to assemble. And most of that is because they just have a lot of pieces that are delicate. And what is in particularly interesting about the assembly of this model is the fact that you do the whole base, boat, everything, and then you stick on the figure. And it's a little bit challenging when you put on the figure because you actually have to wedge him in and actually lodge him onto this because he has like a little brace or a mechanic there. So it is not the easiest build because then you also have to line this up. So it's got a lot of delicate moments. Like every other undead model, I say this all the time as someone who plays undead and Nighthaunt, your model falls to the floor, you're pretty screwed. And actually one piece of this model is missing because I did drop it on the floor, and it actually fell into a bag. So that's it. The top of the treasure chest, don't have it. So gonna just have a variation on my model because I cannot find it for the life of me. If I ever find it, great. If not, but just such cool detail. You have all that work on in the boat. And again, gonna have some ideas of what I'm gonna do. And I think I'm gonna do them. I actually just thought of it now. One idea. So we're gonna just get cracking and get going. And we'll see what we do. But very much into this model. I love the detail. I think the detail is off the charts, insane. Oh, and then I'm gonna go and break all my other models because that's what I do. I am the wrecking ball that is this the head of the stream. And as always, please, if this is your first time with us, say hi. Please do not be shy. Please be a part of our community. Love to talk to you. Love to find out what you guys and gals out there in the ethers might have on your painting table, and what's going on your hobby list. Do you have some new models that you're itching to play or itching to build? Are you excited for other new things in AOS? No topic is off limits for us here. So I'm just gonna go with a Hex Wraith Flame. This is like standard. I do this for like all my undead models. I love using the Hex Flame and using the what's the other blue called? Is it Nighthaunt Blue? Nighthaunt Gloom. I love using those. And these are essentially washes, and I just use them. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do a transitional fade into this one. So I am purposely... No, because I want to do the boat that other color. Yeah, so we're going to do something fun. I did this... yeah. No. I'm gonna two-tone this. Yeah, I'm gonna two-tone this. And then I want... I want it to transition a little bit differently, yeah. No, so that's all. We're going to make all of this green. This will all be Nighthaunt green. Not Nighthaunt green. Hex Wraith Flame. except for that little bit. I'm going to go over that with something else. A little bit that's on the ore. So what I want to do is use the spectral colors to sort of create like spectral energy, but also make it like the sea. So you guys will see what I mean in a minute. But I'm just going to put this on there, and then I'm going to transition this up into a different color into the figures, and then I'm going to put some other cool effects on here. Yeah, I don't usually go like right for certain elements, but for this one, I do actually want... Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm just going to go... I'm going to hike up a little bit, and then I'm going to leave that, the like edge body, because I'm going to transition to a different color. But this is like pretty standard for any like undead Night Haunt model. I'll use a lot of these. And Ghostly Flame is fun. I mean, typically what you use the Hex Wraith Flame for, a lot of people use it for like elements like this, when you have like a lantern or you have something that's emanating light in an undead model. And these technical paints are kind of like washes. They're called technical paints because you really are going to use them to create like luminance. But it's funny, they actually work exactly like the contrast paints do. So you really just kind of lather it on there. And then you guys will see what I'll do to further it. But it's going to do exactly what it's sort of the beginning thought process to how they make contrast paints, because it does the exact same thing. You can see it bunches up in the crevices, so it creates like a again, that ghostly sort of flame. And then we're going to go in and up the contrast to some of that as well. And that's why I'm going to be transitioning the colors, so you guys will see what I mean in a minute. Because the outside one is a little bit more, it has a different meaning to it because it's outside of this. But the ones that are underneath, I want to make them, I want to have them have like a sea quality, since he is a boat ferryman. So you guys will kind of see how I'm going to marry these two ideas. Trust me, it will look very cool when it's done. And then we're also going to do, I'm going to make this like a spectral blue for the boat. I was originally going to do the boat like as an older boat, but I think if it looks like a spectral boat, it'll look cooler. And then, so not going for like a brown boat. Yeah, I'm going to leave, I don't want to leave that under pin. So sorry that you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I gotta just get some areas that are underneath, and I'm just kind of hitting those real quick, because again, this is where it gets a little tricky, since I've decided to go for this two-tone idea. It makes me have to make some decisions and make some ideas for the model. So you can see I'm not deliberately painting underneath there, because I'm going to bring in another color. So I'm just kind of like trying to figure out, to the best of my ability, like where I want the spectral green to be, kind of where I want it to end or kind of be there. And then we're going to see a transition into some other areas. So I'm going to start working on the other side, because I want this to look kind of kind of cool and kind of unique, and do something a little bit different. I've done this on a lot of my different models where I do transitions with the two colors. So then using that Night Haunt Gloom, the other technical paint, you're going to see how I'll introduce it. And it may not work well. What I'm probably going to do is I'll introduce it onto the wood, and then I'll probably overlay another color onto this, and you guys will see why in a minute. because I plan on using this somewhere else, and it might be a little too far from home. And this is why when I was thinking about doing this model tonight, I really was excited about doing this model because it's a little bit of a different technique than I've done in the past with models like this. So, and I wanted to kind of think a little outside the box with this. So you guys are gonna see. That's okay, because we're gonna paint. We're gonna paint a different color in there, which should be able to go over that Nighthawk gloom. But I think just making it a spectral boat is going to be like such a cool idea. But I'm only going to do it to the wood panels, and then I'm going to do the details in other colors. And you guys will understand the rationale and the reasoning as to the why as we get further into the paint. But for right now, I'm just basing out these boards with the Night Haunt gloom. So that we can do some other cool stuff. Now, I sprayed this a lot, and I still didn't get all that. But you know what? This is where actually priming and having a little bit of a different texture will actually be helpful. So even if the prime didn't go all the way, it'll actually still work very well for what I'm doing. Now, this is the reason why, and that's why I may 86 the idea of what I was going to do, because I think actually the boat being the spectral color might be good, and then I can, but, so the idea of what I was going to do was to introduce, yeah, there we go. I definitely want to put it there. So I wanted to play with the idea of these two different colors, and that's what's cool about them is you can just overlay them on top of each other. So like if you decide you want to have more of one color or another, you could just go in there and really just go over it. But I thought it would be kind of fun, since he is a ferryman, if there was like a disturbance in the spectral that actually looked like water, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And have it like sort of strategically make its way up, so you have like a little break in the spectral. So I am digging this idea because what I like about it is it brings attention to it. So I will do that for the figures, but that's what we're gonna do for the figures. So I'm gonna bring in this nice Night Haunt gloom to have like a little detail in that spectral energy, so we have like kind of cool stuff happening. And then the boat itself is going to be that Night Haunt blue as well. Now, this is where me putting things together and then painting them sucks. But I've said it many times on this channel, I have to do that because I just don't know how to paint. I never was someone who liked doing assembly painting. So I need to have the model together to see colors, because like even decisions like this, I like seeing the whole model together to figure out how are things going to play off each other, how are things going to look. Yeah, I think that looks awesome. I really, really am digging this. And I could tell you, as somebody who paints a lot of models, at first you're intimidated that you like might not get your brush in there, or you might be like too far away or whatever. As you can see, I'm using a fairly large brush and I'm getting inside of there. It's just about knowing how to position, how to like tilt, and the handle I'm using is definitely a good idea. So for people that are looking to get more in the hobby and get some like polished things, getting a handle when you paint, so having something like this, like the Citadel handle, big difference, because you can turn the model, you can position, you can tilt, and it just makes your life so much easier to get to those areas, which is why I can be so mobile with my stuff. So what are you guys thinking out there at TV Land? I want to hear some stuff. Participate. Let me hear you. Let me hear that voice. Are you guys? Is anyone out there a Nighthaunt player from AOS? I would be shocked. Well, no, it's not true. I actually wouldn't be shocked. Lots of people are Nighthaunt players because Nighthaunt are very good. Oh, I love that. I say, come on, shout out, talk, and then like people immediately run away. It's amazing. Is it really that intimidating to talk on to type on a chat in a stream? I always find that funny. Or maybe I'm just boring. That might be what it is. That's probably more realistic, right? I'm I'm the greatest painter alive. And like people are showing up and they're like, this guy doesn't know what the heck he's doing. I could see that. I could see people being like, nope. Catch you later, sucker. So I'm gonna do like an overlay, so some of that green will show through, and that's what's cool about playing with these colors together. Technically, is that you can get that to happen. So I can make it look like the spirit is emerging out of this, and then is like moving to this other color. And I don't know, I kind of like this idea. Now, like I said, I may decide, since there is like a I'm making the boat that spectral blue, what I might do is I might overlay a color on top of it, because to have the ghosts that are reaching for the boat have the same color, you may not see that color very well. So I may go for a darker idea. So now what I'm doing here is I'm just sort of trying to figure out like where I want to have the blue kind of extend to, and then that will help me in finding, you know, the right sweet spot for this. And again, I'm already liking this, so when you guys look at it, it's this nice like crazy blend, and it's always fun to do stuff like this because it's so like catching to your eye. And I've done this on a few of my like Nighthaunt or Nagesh models, which to folks, to no surprise probably to people, if you are a undead player or a Nighthaunt player, you can, most of the armies are interchangeable, so you can actually use all of your models in both of those armies. So, but I like this. I like how, and it's almost like telling a story in a sense of like that if he accepts you onto the boat, like you're transitioning to the same energy that he has. So that was part of why I liked this idea of transitioning the model, you know, in this way. Because then and also of course this is, you know, it goes without saying, this is also in line with the way that I've painted a lot of my other models in those factions. So whether I'm talking about my undead faction, my Nagesh army, And yes, I am that guy that plays Nagesh, or a Nighthaunt army. This is just in line with how I've painted those other models. So like, you know, it's following suit in there as well. But I always loved the aesthetic of the undead guys. They were always really cool and awesome to paint. So now I'm just going in and like getting the edges of the wood. Yeah, and that's why I had a backup model for tonight, or at least, you know, I had an alternative idea that we would do some more Curse City stuff. Not only because I think they're very like relatable and obviously similar, but all right. Oop. Wash my brush out. I really think that starting at 9:30 definitely did not help me, because I think some people were like, what the hell, and came in here and was like, he's doing his thing. Way too much. I went way too much with this. Now for the bottom of the boat, I'm actually going to do a different color. And the rationale as to the why there was because I'm going to be using the spectral blue for other stuff. So, and again, it was to give this illusion of, you know, just different forces, like different undead forces are coming to it, to transition to there. And what it does is it brings some element of color through it. But like I said, I might scratch that. I don't know. I was trying to make it so the energy lines were like, what's the word? Like, I figured since he was like on this spectral energy, and I wanted to again have this one, since it was under the boat, be more like water-like. Thought it made more sense for like that energy to be the same color, but that might not have been the best idea. I don't know. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna commit to the paint. I'm gonna commit through it and see as I finish it and as I block it out if in fact, I think this works very well. So I think having this works very well, but like I said, since the ghost is part of that, that's why I made him the same color. But we'll see. We'll see if I like that or not. But yeah, for folks that are out there, please consider posting up a comment or saying hi. The show is always a better show when you all are a part of it, and when you all are commenting and, you know, sharing your experiences or questions with me. Always a better show, hands down. You know, like, I do have the gift of gab and I will talk, but I think everybody else has always led us into areas that I think are so much more entertaining than myself. But, and like I always say, if you have something, it doesn't matter what you have on your painting table, even if it's a 40K model or if you're more of a 40K player. you know, please don't hesitate to come and say hi. Yeah, post up a comment, say hi in the chat, even if it's your first time. And we're painting up the new Nighthaunt model, which is Awlrach the Drowned is what is the name of this model. It's a new hero for Nighthaunt in AOS, and I am a very big Nighthaunt player as well as Undead player. So it was right up my alley to get this model, and I wanted to review it because he came out at this point I think a week or two ago, and I hadn't gotten a chance to review him. But I love the model. The detail's amazing, and it's, you know, we're just going through and doing my typical paint. You guys could already see how I'm blocking out some stuff. We're using the Nighthaunt Gloom is what I'm using right now, and you can see I'm sort of doing some effects where we have transitions, which I think is really, really cool. And then we have some other alternative spirits on the bottom there, because it is a boat. It's supposed to be in water, so I wanted to make some spirits where some of the energy looked like it was underwater, or giving off that vibe of water. So this spirit is part of the boat energy, so the energy that's underneath the boat. So I'm making that water on this side. So we're gonna have a nice transition and some cool colors. And again, this is a technical paint. This is more of a traditional Citadel paint, because I know for a lot of you folks that watch me more regularly know that, you know, I do use the contrast paints quite a bit, because I like them a lot. I think they are great paints. I think they are super awesome if you are starting as well, to learn how to paint with the hobby. But yeah, but these are more traditional technical paints. And like I say, I kind of say that I call them like Gen 1 contrast paints, because they really are. They are kind of the same idea. And I'm just getting that Nighthaunt Gloom on there. And I'm using it for the boat. So this is so I am going in a totally different direction than what the atypical paint is, or even what, if you were to look up the model itself on GW's website. I'm not going specifically with like their paint sample or their model. I am free forming this because I want it to both. And sorry if I just picked an angle where you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the backside of that energy, because, you know, that's the cool part about having these handles. And I always tell people as they're learning, always turn your model, always position and point it in different directions, because you will, one way will look great, you'll paint it all up, and then like all of a sudden you'll be like, wait a minute, there's a bunch of empty space here, which I didn't know about. So you definitely want to get yourself set up there. And then we're gonna now we're gonna pop into some contrast paints. Oh. Did I break the model? Wow. Took a fall and didn't break. The untold story of a Nighthaunt model, because it pretty much undead models, if you drop them, I don't really care how you drop them, they usually fall and they usually break. So now we're gonna move into some contrast, using Skeleton, Horde, very appropriate for some of the other wood elements that I don't want to have using that Nighthaunt Gloom, and that's going to be specifically the bottom. But I like the Skeleton Horde because it's going to like give you a faded wood, so it's going to look more like a you know, antique softwood. And then I'm going to go in there with like we'll shade it a little bit so it'll look a little bit different, but it'll, you know, it'll look weathered or fragile, the wood. And the reason I'm going with this color is because you'll see it's going to work real well up against the the Nighthaunt Gloom, and it's just a beautiful color. It's a beautiful color for like wood or other stuff, because we want, you know, he's been on this boat or quote unquote sailing this boat probably for a while or eternity, since he is a spirit who was drowned at sea as part of his lore. You know, I was saying it before, he is essentially the equivalent of the ferryman. And then what's cool about doing this is actually a little bit of a symbolism, because now if you look at, oh geez, if you look at the inside, it's gonna look, I wanted to imitate almost like a rib cage. So now it will embody the same idea as a human rib cage. So it's giving you that same vibe. On this like spectral boat. So I'm going for, like I said, definitely a different style, different vibe than the paint sample that you would see on like GW's website. And the reason or rationale behind that is because I really like the idea of having that motif. And then of course we actually do have some real bone in the model itself, because the actual ferryman's bones, which I'm gonna do right now, he is actually made up of the boat. So why I'm doing that too is that now that color is going to be ricocheted through the whole model. So it's going to be a very cool effect, because all of the rest of the ship is actual bones, or at least it's supposed to be made up of actual bones. So we'll just get, oh, nope. Yeah, those are the actual fastens that are holding it together. The metal is actually, those metal pieces are actually metal pieces. So very, like I said, very cool model. And in general, the Nighthaunt models have been really, really good like this, because they do have very, very interesting architectural elements. And that's whether we're talking about the Death models, or we're talking about Nighthaunt, or even Asiego Bone Reapers for AOS. Like, all of them have been very, very good. No, I know what I'm gonna do for him. He's gonna have a different form to him. I might go over that again. I don't think I'm gonna do actual bones in there, but I might. I feel like those should be spectral bones, but alright, so those were obviously put in wrong. I mean, they'll look okay inside, but you were supposed to see them peeking out, and they're not. But that's okay. We'll just emphasize that hole differently, which is fine. have a tendency to do what I'm doing now, which is when I get excited and I start to, you know, quote unquote, come up with a paint scheme or a plan for a paint scheme, I do a little bit of what I'm doing right now, which is I jump really far ahead and I stop, because I like to do usually one color at a time. So I like to paint each color as I'm doing it, so that it sort of all dries together. Already, I really like where we're going with this model. It's pretty cool. And it's funny because when I started painting, I was like, I bet I'm gonna finish this model like somewhat quick. And I was like kinda right. And part of it is because when you start doing like a lot of the, like using the technical paints, that you do have a lot of like really easy or quicker, I'll say quicker painting sessions, because I feel like you always have like quicker painting sessions, because the technical paints, like I said, they tend to work like the contrast paints, where you know you're applying them on and they're already like giving you a lot of bang for your buck, and there's a lot to do inside of there, but already just with the little bit that we've done, like you can see the power of those technical paints and how they like shine. But we're going to overlay some stuff on top of them that are going to give them a little bit more interest to them. So we're not just going to end it just putting or slapping on one coat. But so far, I do like the way that this is coming out. But yeah, I am like super guilty of that. So I'm just going back over specifically the areas that are like on the boat, because one of them, it's interesting, and it's just a bad form. They made a spectral line that went into like it went into a crack in the wood, which just visually it makes you think there's something wrong with your model, but there isn't. I will do my best to show you guys as much as I can internally. It's gonna get a little tricky in there, because I mean, it's even gonna get tricky for me, because there is definitely a lot of areas I gotta paint in there. You know, I keep saying it, but I might have to start learning how to assembly paint, because some of this is really hard to paint. Which always is intriguing to me, because obviously GW makes these models, but I'm always like taken back by how like tough it is to get inside of them. But like nowhere does it say on like the model or in the instructions that like you must assembly build this, or sorry, assembly paint this. So they're not saying that's the way you have to do it, but one would argue that they sure as heck build them as if you do. because right now, this obviously is not the greatest angle to be at, because it's true in all facets that there's like a ton of areas where like I need to get up there and at least introduce a little bit of color. Now there is a phenomenon, and I am one of those people, and other people in the hobby may go like, well, you can't be like that, but I am a fan of not painting stuff you don't see. So another reason I like to assemble the models is that there are many occasions that I've painted, and when I paint, it is extremely clear that you, the viewer, do not see the areas that a model has. So there are definitely like areas when you actually assemble the model that I would argue like you are in fact covering up those areas. So why would you paint them? And I think like my like number one example of that is a while back in 40K they introduced they called them Speed Freaks, but it was a box set where they introduced like more vehicles for the Orc army, and there were a couple of those where you're like putting a character inside of a cockpit, and I'm like, now you like hardly see the character, you hardly see any of the character. So if I would have wasted time, so if I went the route of like, what I keep calling assembly painting, which essentially means you're painting it in, you're painting your model in pieces. So you're painting the pieces. It could sometimes be the pieces on the sprue. It could also be, you're partially assembling some of the model and then you're priming it and starting to paint it. And the rationale to why to do that is what you guys see me kind of struggling with a little bit here, which is I have to now like really twist the model and turn and do stuff to get into certain areas. Whereas if I had done maybe an assembly paint, I could have painted those elements without. I'm actually gonna leave a little bit of it not painted, so that when I paint the other stuff, there we go. I can actually bleed some, because you'll see here, I'm gonna hike it back up, where I'm gonna bleed some of that blue into the ore. I'll have to get a smaller thing. But so far with what we've achieved, I'm extremely happy. I think this is coming out super cool, super awesome. What I'm concerned about is why we don't have more folks hanging out with us tonight. Which is making me a little nervous, which always does. I don't know if it's the holiday, maybe it's still residual, weekend stuff where people are just not around. I don't know. But it is truly a little scary, actually, because lately I feel like I say this, and then we had a night where we had 20 people watching, so I don't know. I feel like we're either having a fall off of people watching, or I don't know. What I'm hoping this doesn't mean is that there's a fall off of the hobby, which would be, you know, really, really a shame. But I hope that's not true. You know, and definitely if there is, you know, if you guys out there who are watching think of suggestions or other content you'd like to see, let us know. I mean, I know I do a lot of painting content, but honestly, a lot of the painting content is coming because I'm trying to get a lot of this stuff painted so we could start doing more robust battle reports and other types of stuff. And I know that we tended to do that on Thursday nights. It's just been like a constant uphill battle to get things moving back on track. We are getting there. Sorry guys, there's just like no good way. I'm trying to get you involved in the camera, but I feel lately we just are we're seeing less people, you know, or unless you guys are, maybe you just want to see me do like more gaming stuff. I don't know. Like, is that it? Is it maybe like more so people want to see? I know, like, I just recently got the Evil Dead game. I played a little bit of that. I feel like those streams did really well. It's interesting. It's just interesting that, or maybe it's just you only want to see 40K stuff. I don't know. Which, quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because, you know, I'll be the first to put that myth to bed. But 40K is more popular than AOS, so I know Marvel Crisis Protocol. We had a few people watching us last night, but I don't know. My guess is if I polled the audiences that I've had, you guys probably would rather see us actually play the games. Probably the painting videos, because there's so many painting videos. That's probably what it is, if I had to guess, is that maybe we're doing too many painting videos. But that's why your suggestions are so like key and feedback, and that's why, like, even when you're watching the streams, I always love it when you guys comment or bring, you know, your perspective to the table. I really want to hear from you. I always like hearing from the people that are watching. Because, like I said, the people watching, you know, and the people that even watch us after the fact, you guys have a lot of power. You don't realize that, because if you were to, you know, comment or you know, bring up anything about the stream, that would serve a great purpose, because that would I would act on those suggestions. I would act on those things. Like, if you guys said you'd like to see more certain companies, games, I try. You know, obviously I'm not like some of the bigger streamers out there at the moment, where I'm getting sent, like, you know, review kits and things like that. You know, we are very much doing a lot of this out of pocket and other stuff. So, you know, like, I do try my best to review and to show as much of a diversity of models and companies as I can. But yeah, I'm just intrigued as to what content you guys like or want to see. And like I said, you have a lot of power, because if you really, really want to see certain content, obviously I want to provide that content to you as a content creator. But yeah, you know, we could do different stuff, and I keep saying that we're gonna have some other stuff down the pike, and I really do mean that. I am feverishly working to the detriment of my sleep to try to get a lot of things set up and done. Some of which is working, some of which is not working. But I am trying my all. I'm trying my best. All right. And also, I said it a couple of times, but if you guys, like, timing wise, feel like there's a better time for us to have our streams, or even just like any suggestions you have is always welcome. Do I talk too much? You know, that could be it too. Maybe people out there are like, geez, man, I wish this guy would just shut the heck up and paint. I think I'm going to lose that board, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to lose that board. You're not going to see it. That's number one. Because it's going to get progressively harder to get to the boards in there. So, like, to do the detail of the the skeleton on some of those is going to be massively difficult. So what I'm going to do is just kind of hit the areas. So kind of going back to what I was saying before, hit the areas that we could see. So if you look in there, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the angle where I could just kind of go in. That's a stubborn angle, man. Alright, let's just go in that way. There we go. Now, notably, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but the nice thing about the Undead Army is that you can be a little liberal with your painting. So what do I mean by that? Well, because they're like ghosts and they have like kind of not like astral forms, if your paint is like a little off or a little shaky, usually it doesn't look that bad when undead units, because like they always look dirty or messy or whatever. So you have a little bit of leniency to get away with some stuff, which is always appreciated. Maybe the fact that you guys don't see me, I don't know. I think it's just the holiday weekend. I'm going to just go with that. It's Memorial Day. People are trying to enjoy themselves. And I think most people were traveling or at somewhere. And probably you're all coming back. You maybe don't want to... Maybe you're trying to get an early rest, or... People got company. They're not doing the same things they normally do. I'm gonna go with that. How about that? Because I know normally, especially for the Warhammer stuff, we usually have a decent crowd on Tuesdays. But I also learned that there are other streamers that are doing Tuesday nights. So that's why I may be thinking of moving some of the shows around. I don't know. So if you like Monday and Tuesday nights, then you better definitely get your butts down here, because if I have another week or two of this, of a lower audience, I might play around with the idea of doing shows on a different night. So we might have our live stream on a different schedule, if I feel like we're hitting some walls there. Now, I should also mention that if you're watching this after the fact, obviously, give us a like, give us a sign up for notifications so you know when we're live. Because sometimes I will occasionally do streams that are not part of our schedule. So if I have the time and I can, we'll stream a little bit more in the week. But so still just trying to get the wood elements painted. The wood elements are tricky because you do have and again, I am trying to get you guys in that action, but it's a little tricky just because to get to some of those posts I have to hold the model in a very particular certain way. And it's just a little hard to position to the camera. I mean, this model's got like a ton of obviously I'm gonna have to check it out and like go into touching it up, because there's just it's like detail overload on this guy. So I know I talked a pretty big game and said that I was gonna maybe get to a backup model, but I do not think that's gonna happen tonight. I don't know if we'll do the Curse City models because I don't want to break him. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get, because again, we have like different parts of the boat. Because again, I'm choosing to do that more two-toned boat. And then again, like I say all the time, you gotta, make sure you twist that model around, because you will find that, again, one side will look terrific, but another side of that post will not. But so far, we got some nice synergy going on and some really cool elements. Like, again, I love... Now, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of revision on this, where I'm going to bring the green into this, so we'll have a green fork, just to kind of bring that element on the other side. Now, this will be a slightly different idea, because what you're going to notice, and I think if I do it this way, it will be a reverse. So you'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring that green in so that we have a green element on this side. because we want to have that green. Yeah, so now, and I'll do it on the other side, but now it looks like it's uniform because now we have it happening on both sides of the model, which is really important. So you want to make sure your eye travels, and that was one of the things I noticed when I spun it around. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work, because like this works, but it's not gonna work here because you really do need to balance out those colors. So again, just introducing that other green on that other side. So now you have that green, and when you look through and you spin, you'll see that green on that side. And then we have a green element this way, but then we have a pretty strong blue element on the other side. So it's never, you know, you're never getting too much of one color, which is good too. Now the question is, what am I going to do for him on the top? Which I think I have one idea already that I want to do. Which is for his skin, I want to do, Apothecary White, which will give him that pale look, you know, nice undead pale look. I just want to do it for the skeleton elements. And the reason behind why I'm doing it this way is that, unlike the spirits or even a skeleton, he still has, he's not bone, he's got flesh. So he's got like strung out flesh on his hands. So with the Apothecary White, it will just give that like shade of gray to it. And then now for his actual cloak, what I was thinking was we do the Griffin Charger Gray for that. And then I don't know what I'm going to do for the hair elements yet. Because again, that Griffin Charger Gray will be a nice light color. And then I could always go over other elements of this with either a black or a larger gray, but I love doing the Griffin on his robes because then it makes him look, again, ghostly, faded. Now what I may do is for the end, for the ends, I might do a different color. I don't know yet. I might do the green, the spectral green, which looks very, very cool when you combine the two. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm getting a lot further with this model than I thought I was going to. Yeah, typically Night Haunts, you would do like, I think if I look at the box, they'll do what they normally do, which is, oddly enough, I think I'm actually doing, I wasn't trying to riff off the box, but I might actually be doing similar techniques. Yeah. Oh, interesting. They did. That's actually kind of a cool idea. To do like a color on the hood. Actually, I might do that. I like that idea. I won't do the same color, but I like the idea of a color on the hood. But yeah, they're sort of doing the same thing. Just that the overall tones that they're using are darker. But they're sort of going in the same realm that I'm about to. And yes, on the box they do, and I do that for a lot of my like ghost characters. I like using the like have a spectral trail or whatever, so that they look like they are. Because then it looks like energy like imbuing a sheet or fabric. Because they're ghosts. So if you did not know that, the Nighthaunt faction are ghosts. Man, that looks just so nice. So that gray, it all complements, and it looks so nice, those colors. So it's a nice color palette that we've created. And what's also cool about the the Griffin Charger Gray, is that if I do decide to blend in, a color, I can just put the color right on top of it. So if I like go a little bit crazy, or if I decide to, if I'm a little sloppy and I go a little too far, I can always hike it back with the color, which is cool. Which is always appreciated on the Nighthaunt models, because, like I said, you have such a tendency to go a little too far, and maybe go into an area because they're very intricate and you have so much going on, so there's so much detail. But so far, I am digging this wholeheartedly. Very, very cool. It's been a while since I painted a Nighthaunt model. A while. So this is a really cool opportunity, because I want to get all of those folks done. And so, I do want to get those models painted, because I have a bunch of Nighthaunt models I haven't painted yet. And like many of my compatriots out there, I have plenty of projects that I started with Nighthaunts that I never finished. So I have like a half-painted Lady Orlinder. I have like a ton of other like little things that I haven't done. So I have plenty. Yeah, I need to do a smaller brush, because I just realized what I'm painting and what detail is in there, because there is. I love Nighthaunt models, but I also hate Nighthaunt models at the same time, because if you guys can see this, so there is literally a tiny vine. There are, maybe you can't see because it's focusing wrong. There is a tiny vine of roses that are on this thing. So I'm trying to paint the bar and at the same time not paint over all of that. But it is like super hard, and of course, with those tiny little roses and vines, of course that wraps around the whole thing, so you have to keep spinning it around to find all of it, which is insane. So this is where, when I say that there's like all this detail, that's the insane level of detail that a lot of undead models have. specifically the Nighthaunt models, because the Nighthaunt models, you know, a lot. Obviously, Nighthaunt was a newer faction that was introduced to AOS, so all of their models are, are all brand, are newer models painted under, newer standards. So, when you are somebody who plays, an undead army like Nagesh, you still are playing with models that are older GW models. So not to say that they're bad quality or there's something wrong with them, but they still have. I'm just gonna paint this whole thing, but I'm pretty sure it's got. I'm gonna put like gold elements on the metal fixings that are on this thing, but I'm just doing this so it's easier to see them. Yeah, because I like when I do a Nighthaunt model, I go old rustic metal for like everything, because it makes it look older. It makes it look like, because that's the idea. You want the Nighthaunt, you want it to look like this guy sprung out of the ground or the grave. So even this front thing, I'm gonna have that all like the brass gold. Even the chains I'm gonna do in the brass gold. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and then we got to paint all of those vines and all of that other stuff. So it's going to be interesting. Very interesting. Oh, sorry guys. I know you can't really see. There we go. Oof. I do forget how intense some of these paints are. Oof. It's intense in there. It's an intense paint. Great model though. I mean, like I really do like the model a lot. Let me look at what I got here. So there's a lot of blue. So yeah, I think it's only fitting to give him. We'll give him a green Hex Wraith. So it looks a little bit more like. I want it to look a little bit more like epic. Again, for you guys that are watching, I'd love to hear what you think. What are some things that you think are awesome in either the Nighthaunt faction or in other AOS too? Like, is there a particular AOS maybe updated unit that or change that you are like really hyped up and excited for? see where my limit stopped, and I think I just found it. So you guys are seeing me just extending it a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll come back in with the gray and tidy up just a tiny bit. I'm just going to extend this a little bit. Because it's really the ends. It's really these like end pieces that I think work really well when you do them in the green. And I'm gonna layer something else there. I'm just playing around with some ideas. But now you just have a really nice organic, just lots of like flames and craziness. And just, again, a play of those colors. So now that green flame works all the way down, the blue comes all the way up. And then same thing over here. Now we have green that comes up. So now that green sort of comes up and makes its way through the model, which is great. Yeah, it is a slow night. All right. Well, hot damn. Or maybe everybody's just so used to me coming on at 11 that I'm gonna see like an uptick in people watching me at 11 o'clock. That would be insanely funny to me if all of a sudden like 11 hits and there's just like a ton of people in here. I would find that hilarious. Never would have thought to do that. I never would have thought to have put color on this. I was going to make this a black hood. I don't know if I like the orange, but I wanted to try it. I might end up covering this in red. I'm not sure yet. I think what I'll do is I'll put it orange and then I'll probably put null oil on top of it just to darken it. I'm gonna put, so this is a great example of, I'm gonna put metal coloring on all of the bars and stuff, all of the cage stuff that's on him, so I don't have to be as like worried about being messy. And the reason I like this brush is because it's got the way that the bristles are. The way that the tip of it is, I can kind of push it down. Which is very helpful when I'm painting something like that. But like I said, I can be a little bit sloppy with my painting. The only thing I'm trying to look out for is there are tiny stitches on him. I like to not paint them because it's so much easier with the contrast paints if you just like lightly go over them to get all of it. It makes your life just like so much easier. Trying to see like trying to discern what is hair and what is not. I actually really like that. I think that's kind of cool. And then this all becomes orange, because then what that does is it introduces a different color. Ooh, I actually like that. I like the orange a lot. That's cool. Yeah, so if I do that with the null oil and make it darker, I think it's gonna be perfect. Perfect. So it's a little bit like over the top right now, but that's okay. Right now I'm just trying to get it in there, but I definitely like it with the gray underneath it. I think that looks really cool. Yeah. But like I said, gonna put the null oil on top of it so it comes off a little bit darker, because this orange is it's extremely orange. Like it looks beautiful for fabric because the way that it dresses it, but yeah, it's like super orange. It's not a dark orange, you know, very, very pumpkin-y orange. So want to make it look dirtier. Again, you want all your Nighthaunt models, and especially your hero characters, you want them to look very depressing, gloom, bleak, because again, they're supposed to be ghosts, so that makes the most sense for a ghost. But I do like the orange. The orange is very cool. I do like it. This is so hard to paint. So, love the orange, but damn, is it tough to get in there. He's got a very intricate little and yes, for the folks at home that may not notice, I am painting in between each of the scenes, because I don't know how to teach that to people, but over the years of just painting, I call it training your eyes. Like, I can zoom my eyes in. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. But yeah, I can literally, like, when I look at this model, I can do what a magnifying glass does with my own eyes. So I can literally, like, zoom in on it. Yeah, this is looking fire good. Very nice. Very nice. And I like all the, and again, it's very, like, it's trippy. Like, I deliberately did make it very trippy. And just so you guys could see a little bit of the color scheme, so you can imagine a little bit more what so now I'm using Balthazar Gold, which is a traditional GW paint, so part of their, like, original painting system, not a contrast paint. It's one of their metallic paints, and it's like it's what you use to do, like, a rusted kind of metal. So when I do Nighthaunt units, I like using using this because it is, like I said, it is a like rusted metal, so it always makes it makes everything look, you know, antiqued, old. So I like to use it for like their weapons. I like to use it for any like metal element that they have. So like for him, the ore, and then what it does is it also like ornates things. So what's very cool about this is that now that looks like a lot more ornate, and I'll use it for all different types of metal stuff. So like as I was saying before, that's this metal end of the ore, and just use it to punch up some stuff. But it's gonna look old, decrepit. That's, you know, we want that for Nighthaunt. You know, we want him to look like, you know, he just drowned. Or not, he just drowned. That was the wrong. We want to make it look like he drowned a while ago. So you can get an idea of just a little bit of what we're going to do there. And I'm going to use that for the chains, for the shackles, because that's going to give us this olden time look. Alright, let's see what we got. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of painting that's going to happen with that. Because there's a lot of elements that are on here. Stuff I paint. That I may use with this, and then I may combine this with null oil too, just to bring some of the black back to the chains. But it's a tough. There's a lot. There's just a lot of detail. Like I said, Nighthaunt models are very challenging to paint because there is just a level of detail that is on them. Oh, am I painting the vine? I might be by accident. I don't know. There's just a level of detail that's on these models that yeah, it's crazy. Which I say it all the time, but that's one of the reasons I gravitated towards Nighthaunt as a faction in AOS, because I loved them. You know, I loved them as a faction, and I loved their models because they're all like undead guys. And who doesn't like undead? In like traditional fantasy settings, you know. who doesn't like that? Oh man, I think the tank is getting a little on the full side, but and I love it. I love how I said, "Oh, I'm gonna." I'm like, "Oh, I'll probably finish this model really quick." Now, that being said, we did paint a lot of this model tonight. You know, we only were on for an hour and a half, but I'm not seeing a lot of people joining us, so I may cut my losses on this video, and we'll regroup for the next one. But I am happy where we got to. Great motif that we picked up with this sort of spectral sea energy that we kind of created. Just some really nice starts to some cool stuff. Just gonna finish this, because if I don't finish this now, it'll actually look really bad. So I'm just gonna let me just get this a little bit better. I'm just gonna even this out a little bit. Out there we go. That looks not good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some strategic just some strategic like draping, because right now the pooling is off. Let me get to this brush. What do I mean by strategic draping? It's where I just go in and introduce like we just want to get some folds to actually have some definition. There we go. Now it's looking much better. And then we'll sort of sneak a little darker area into there. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side, which has a little bit more going for it. There we go. That's what I love about the contrast paints. We can fix any of these issues very, very quickly just by going over the model again. And now you can see more distinct lines that really feed on the drapery. So now there we go. Nice. So there we go, guys. That's where we got to in this session. I'm really happy. I'm gonna let it be for a minute, but we are already seeing some amazing stuff happening with this model. I obviously have to get in there and do a lot more detail work, but I think this is looking super, super fantastic. I love it's just got a nice guttural, old energy, ghost energy kind of thing. Yeah, just amazingly cool. A lot of more work to be done. You know, these are the types of models that do take a minute. If you guys want to see part 2 of this, we're going to be coming back next week. I may try to do a part 2 some point this week. Things are starting to calm down for me, so I think I can start getting back to doing more videos more frequently. We're going to see what happens, but we're definitely going to push this. I'm going to keep pushing this more, but a lot of good work done, but a lot more work to do. So if you want to see the subsequent other parts of this, please consider following the channel and signing up for notifications so you know when we're live. You can also check out our website and our Patreon. Patreon is, you know, currently has to do with our indie comic stuff, but all of that support goes to the channel and helping us to create more content and things for y'all. So please check it out. Again, thank you to my official sponsor for this video, Undiscovered Realms. Without those guys, I wouldn't have all the cool stuff that you see. And I'm just thrilled to have been able to, you know, both paint and review a newer model, which is pretty awesome. And if you're joining us at the end of this video, you should definitely watch the whole thing and do all those cool things like sign up for notifications and all the great stuff I asked for. And then you could also check out the other links. Thank you all for watching as always. And please remember that we do a Monday show for painting, which is Marvel Crisis Protocol. Tuesdays, which are our Warhammer Day. And then Thursdays, which is our tabletop or RPG day. We're going to start to get into more robust battle reports and things like that. I am in the process of getting all of the terrain done, so we'll have everything done. But we are set up, and the studio got a rehaul, revamp. So please come and see us and be part of the show. Your participation and your comments are always great. And if you're doing all the things I mentioned, or even just you are already following us and are signed up for notifications, share this with more people. See if there's content out there that they want. I know we've had a lot of fun. It is a holiday week, I know that. So hope you all had a good holiday. Hope you celebrated Memorial Day in style. And I hope to see you guys at the next video that we do. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you very, very soon.